that there are significant things that happen after someone dies. On the first day, on the second day, oh no, on the third day, the first day, the third day, the seventh day, and the 40th day. So this is about day 7. Uh, don't get it twisted. Day 7, right? After my father had passed. And this was a little more than 2 years ago. And the other thing that I need to let you know, if you don't know already, is that I'm very, I try to change the names. Because if you know me and you know the people I'm talking about, then that's cool, you know. But if you don't know them, then I don't want these stories to be an introduction to them. And I don't want them to out them or to embarrass them or anything like that. Mm. Mm. The other reason I'm drinking some whiskey is because, oh, a sip, this is really delicious. Mm. Yeah. It's because I haven't been. Let me show you the label here. It's really dope. County Wicklow. Is that oh yeah. So yeah, that has to do with the Irish episode. I'm getting distracted. Okay, names. I don't use the names of the living because I don't want to blow them up in the wrong way. So my nickname for the person that I'm going to talk about in this episode is 3PO. Because this is a lifelong friend of mine. I mean, basically, I don't have a brother. I have a sister. But if I did have one, he would be it. It's the closest thing I've got to a brother. And we've known each other since we were babies. And when we were, you know, little brats, we would fight over Star Wars action figures, which gives you a sense of how freaking old I am. But like the OG Star Wars, not the reboots, not like Yoda, whatever, Boba Fett, The Mandalorian. These are the OG, like 4-inch die-cast action figures with the movable arms, and then they would come out with different versions of it. Like R2D2 would have the retractable scope, whatever, and we would fight like, no, that Chewbacca's mine, you know. We get into these like really bitter arguments, and you know it's funny because I think maybe it hasn't changed. It's just it's now that's now other stuff. But I'm not gonna talk about that now, for the love of God. So my nickname for him is 3PO because he's kind of like, you know, he's kind of very, you know, well, and I'm more like R2D2, like beep boop, and like 3PO is the only one who can translate what R2D2 is saying. But when I have this company, and it's with my my dad and 3PO. And the moniker, the name of the company, bears all of our names. So when people ask about it or I tell people about it, I say, well, it's kind of like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like 3PO's like Carlton, you know, he's kind of like, he's got some moves, right? But he's generally kind of straight-laced, and he went to Princeton. And I'm kind of like Will Smith, who's, you know, charming but not very bright. And my dad was like Uncle Phil. He's like always yelling at us, like, you kids, you know, like, you know, keeping us in line. And it's funny because since my dad passed, 3PO and I have been getting along pretty famously, and only recently as things, well, you know, it's the next chapter of the story. But he is my brother from another mother. Okay, so day 7, after my father had passed, I am in my aunt's house where my dad used to live before he moved to assisted living. And I'm going through some photos, and there's this photo of, here, I'll cover up his name, this is a Irish prayer card, you know, which are big when people pass away. You have these cards, so it has a psalm and has an obit. So that's a picture of him. I hope it comes out okay. And it used to be framed, really nice frame, and actually I gotta put that frame back because my cousin took this photo, and you can't really see it, but there's like an Irish castle or chateau or something in the background, and it's a really beautiful shot. My dad loved to fish, and the thing being is that I was holding this photo, and I was thinking to myself, oh, 3PO would really like this photo. I should give this photo to him. And I went into my phone to send him a message or take a picture of it and send it to him and say, I'd like you to have this. And in my email box was an email from him inviting me to go fly fishing, right? Inviting me on a fly fishing trip, right? He and I have never spoken about fishing. He has another cousin. He has a cousin R. Let's say cousin R, who's like a big sportsman and big fisherman, surfer, this, everything. He does it all. And I've tangentially talked about, and actually had this rod that I gave cousin R at the bachelor party, which was in Hawaii, which is how I ended up in Hawaii. And that is also where day 40 happened. Actually, so this is kind of a segue into that. His bachelor party, 3PO's bachelor party, took place in Hawaii, which is a little weird that I went there for it, especially after but 3PO encouraged me to go. He says, you know what, I think it'll be good for you to do, man. I think it'll be very healing. I've got a good crew of guys, and it's true. It's like his friends are like salt of the earth, like really just like, but I have to tell you this. I went to the bachelor party, and it was incredible. I'll tell you more about it in that episode, in the day 40 episode. And I went to his wedding, which was in the Midwest, and he set it up so that, he was very generous in terms of the setup, and I was in the best boat. And I have never been fly fishing before. And I think I caught like 5 fish, and the other guy with me, he caught like, I don't know, like 8 fish. I don't have the numbers right. I'm sure he definitely caught more than me, but other boats caught like 2, 3 fish. It was just kind of like this thing from God. Partially. Anyway, I want to tell you the final part of this story because, before that, 3PO went to business school, and his wife also went to business school. So like, all of his friends from then are pretty well heeled, and then you have the older set, and they're also retirees, or they're not for want of money, at least for all intensive purposes. I am in want of money, and so I had nothing. I had given all of my money to the assisted living place as a deposit, and they stole it. I think I had like $500 in the bank, and I had this like ghetto ass credit card where you have to pay $20 to get them to increase your limit, and I did all this, there was this ridiculous stuff where I didn't have a rental car, and there was some guy who didn't have a driver's license, and he couldn't get or he didn't have a credit card or something like that, and so he needed me to reserve it, and he had booked it online through some shady thing. It was like $10 a day, and so I ended up driving his rental car, and he was like, thanks very much for helping me out. Thanks very much for taking my rental car. It was very funny. I think he's Dutch. Anyway, so the main story, apart from the weird coinky dink with the picture, at 3PO's wedding, there's this Irish song that has been handed down in 3PO's family. His grandparents sang it. They sing it at birthdays, weddings, and his half-sister, she's probably a teenager by now, but I think she was like 10, 11, 12. She was supposed to sing this song, right? And she's performed in school plays and stuff like that, and not a shy girl per se. But in the ceremony, she got up to sing, and she got through like a verse, and then started to choke up, and then getting emotional just thinking about it. Tough. She went over to her brother and asked him for help, and he sang the rest of the song with her. And that was worth the whole trip. It was the most beautiful moment in a wedding I've ever seen, and probably will ever see. It was just pure love. Here's the love. Slancha. Okay. Whew, that was heavy.